And she has an extraordinary life. So we want to make it a happy night, celebrating good memories that we've had at Liesel. And that's the idea of having this celebration of her life. So I read something that I thought, never let the pain of loved one's loss be greater than the sum of the memories we share with them. And I think that is a good guide for us tonight, and we can, we'll be able to pass the microphone around that people will be able to share the funny stories, because we know there's lots of funny stories about Liesel. So we also have chocolates and champagne, because that's what Liesel was. So we don't put that. So her niece Christiane was not able to be here tonight because she got sick. But I hope she takes some comfort in the fact that Liesel loved spending time there with her boys, and it was a very special part of her life. And we have Michaela, her niece, here, and her daughter Alex. And Liesel spent, initially it was supposed to be in 1 month, and then be 2 months in New Zealand this summer. And Michaela spoiled her royally. I would be FaceTiming her, and she would be having breakfast in bed. And she said, Michaela did this every day, bringing her breakfast in bed. I am ready to go to New Zealand. So, and she loved the beauty of it there. She loved spending time with Michaela's family, and she loved nature, and that was a very healing, calming place for her. So I hope that that's a comfort to know that you had some quality time with her this year. So anyway, I'm trying to read stuff because the kids are so much to remember. But no, so anyway, so luckily, Michaela and I don't know why glasses on. It helps. But Michaela, and I know you know this, but I don't know from here. Her most special relationship was with you. And I think you both brought a lot to each other, but you were her most special one in her life. Good. And so anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Michaela, because she'd like to say a few words tonight, and also brought a slideshow to share with me.
I think we can slideshow after this, because otherwise people get too distracted and won't be able to listen. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much everyone for coming. I'm Liesel's niece Michaela from New Zealand, and Liesel was my mother's sister. My sister Christiane, as you heard, she couldn't make it because she actually got COVID, so she couldn't travel. And Alex last minute decided to come all the way from Germany, where she lives at the moment, to see me here, which was fantastic for her. First of all, we want to thank you, Mary, for organizing all of this. and for everybody who made their time to make this possible. And also, Mary, I would really like to thank you and Rebecca. I don't know, I can't see because I'm the glasses on. I'd really like to thank you too for getting in touch with me right after it happened and keeping me in the loop and being able to stay quiet when she left us. I'd also like to thank Crystal. I don't know where she is, but she has helped me through mountains of paperwork and even bought me some brochures before my arrival, which was amazing. And Patrick for the wonderful work he's done with the photos. And Susan, who kept me on top of all the legal matters and helped me keep a sort of clearish head. And thank you, Dee, for holding the fort. Yeah. Now, I would like to express my sister Christiana's huge disappointment and sadness that she can't be here with us tonight. Most of you will know Liesel and Christiana were very close as well, and so were her two sons, Tobias and Hannes, and her husband, Liesel visited them several times in Austria, and they shared some wonderful memories. I also want to mention my husband Brendan, who couldn't get away at this busy time of the year, but who loved Liesel dearly. And she was literally his biggest fan. In fact, her last WhatsApp to him was a photo collage she made of him wearing a gold medal for his outstanding qualities. He will treasure it forever. My youngest daughter Georgia was lucky enough to truly get to know Liesel from an early age, and they shared a very special bond, even if it's not always easy for a teenager to communicate with their elderly great aunt. The shelves in Georgia's room, like the rest of our house in New Zealand, shows countless mementos and presents Liesel has given us over the years. Georgia, Liesel and I had some wonderful trips around New Zealand over the years, and in 2019 we had the most fabulous time going to Las Vegas and the national parks together. My son Pete is also not here today, but he has a lot of fond memories of Liesel visiting him in his student flat and taking him out to dinner, and always sending him lovely messages and emails, even if they were sometimes quite confusing. I'd also like to mention my mother-in-law Maria and her husband Ken. On her last visit to New Zealand this year, Maria, Liesel and I went on a girls' trip to the Wairarapa in Wellington, and Maria and Liesel shared a lot about their lives, good and bad, and we had a truly amazing bonding experience between us. My mother-in-law's brother Gregory and his wife Daniela, my husband's sister Catherine and her family would also like to say their farewells to Liesel today. My mother, Bärbel, died 20 years ago. Liesel was my mother's sister, my aunt. But she was so much more than that to me. She was like a mother to me, and sometimes I to her. We were extremely close and exchanged photos or messages most days. Whenever I see something beautiful or learn something interesting, my first instinct is to want to send her a photo or a message, and that's when I miss her the most. Liesel grew up in Munderfing, a sleepy little village near Salzburg, Austria. Her father, Josef, was a vet, and her mother, Amanda, was a very talented singer and musician. My mother, Bärbel, was her younger sister by 4 years. Liesel was born on December the 11th, 1940, 82 years ago today. World War II was raging, and my grandfather was away tending to the army's horses, while my grandmother stayed at home and managed to get by with the help of a very tight-knit rural community. On the day Liesel was born, her mother fell down the stairs, heavily pregnant, resulting in an emergency birth. Both Liesel and her mother were lucky to survive. During her early childhood years, Liesel experienced some horrible things as World War II was in full swing. She had vivid memories of hiding in underground bunkers, and even in a ditch one time where her mother didn't find her for hours. And Liesel didn't come out because she was so afraid she would get killed by the bombs falling from the planes in the sky. Until her death, sirens sent shivers down her spine, and planes flying overhead would remind her of the terrible fear of the Russians coming. Luckily, the Russians did not come to Munderfing, but the Americans did. And from an early age, Liesel fell in love with the American way. At 12 years old, Liesel left home to attend boarding school in Salzburg, and then she studied art and graphic design in Vienna. In her late teens and early 20s, Liesel met several young Americans when traveling around Europe during her holidays. At the age of 25, she finally went to the USA. This was in 1965, and America was all she expected it to be, a land of opportunities. Liesel worked in art galleries and studied at the Braniff School of Liberal Arts in Dallas for a while. But after a couple of years, her and her friend decided they wanted to become flight attendants, or stewardesses, as they were called back then. I can't remember how the story went exactly, but I think Liesel was basically hired on the spot, as she was an absolute stunner, and that was the number one quality you had to have in those days to be hired as a flight attendant. She worked for commercial airlines for a while, and then she worked out of Travis Air Force Base, bringing back soldiers from the Vietnam War. In 1969, she married her first husband, Brian, who was Canadian, and moved to Vancouver. It was a fairy tale wedding in Austria, but the marriage didn't last very long, and Liesel found herself back in America and broke. She moved into a flat with a girl she'd never even met before, and enrolled at El Camino College to study nursing. Those were tough years where she basically didn't do much apart from studying and working. She kept in close contact with her parents over the years and travelled to Austria often to visit. Liesel's father died in 1977. He fell off a hunting platform, broke several ribs, and wasn't found until hours later, by which time he had passed. His death was a tragic loss to Liesel. Her father and her had been extremely close. As a nurse, Liesel worked with several esteemed doctors in Los Angeles, and this is where she met Jamie, her second husband, and they got married in Beverly Hills in 1982. To put things in perspective, in 1982, I was 12 years old. Growing up, I only saw Liesel briefly on her trips to Austria when she would stay with us for a few days before visiting her parents. I wasn't particularly interested in her as a person then, but I do remember her always leaving lovely notes hidden all over the house for her mother to find later. A habit she perfected over the years, and I adopted myself. And man, did she bring the best presents every time. She brought me several vinyl records over the years, including Michael Jackson's Thriller album when it first came out. Interesting books, and one time even a skateboard for my boyfriend. You couldn't even buy skateboards in Austria then. When I was 15, my father took me on a holiday to Hawaii, and Liesel suggested I should stay with her for a couple of weeks in Santa Monica. And I will never forget those 2 weeks, where she took me to the country club LA, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, and Venice Beach. It was so exciting. In 1993, my mother took her own life after years of battling depression. Her death was another terrible loss to Liesel and me. Liesel came to the funeral in Austria, but we didn't really have enough of a connection then to be able to support each other. In 1994, so only a year later, Liesel came to my wedding to my husband Brendan in Austria, even though it was literally days after the horrible 1994 earthquake in Los Angeles. This earthquake was the last straw for Liesel and Jamie, and they sold their house in Santa Monica and moved permanently to their home here in Borrego Springs soon after. Mary will elaborate more about Liesel's time here in Borrego in a couple of minutes. My grandmother, Liesel's mother, died in 2001, just after 9/11. Another terrible loss. Liesel was now without immediate family. We met briefly at the funeral, but now with 2 little children, I was far too busy and too young to comprehend what she was going through. However, when my youngest daughter, Georgia, was about 2 years old, I did reach out to Liesel and I invited her to come visit us in New Zealand. This was in 2006. She did. And since then, she has been to New Zealand 5 times. And over the last few years, my husband and I took her to Paris, Prague, and Florence, and to both my brother's and my sister's weddings in Austria. Our relationship grew stronger and stronger. Liesel was a beautiful person inside and out. She had the most amazing style. Even in my childhood memory, she was always dressed to the nines and always gorgeous. She gave me great fashion advice. I bought these pants in New Zealand with her because she said they made me look so stretched and tall. Speaking of funny wording, back in New Zealand, my family and I brainstormed and remembered some of the English words Liesel just could not get right. Everyone's favourite, I'm sure you've heard this one, Nepal. Not Nepal. Aquarium instead of aquarium. Portfolio instead of portfolio. And worm instead of worm. These words will forever make me think of her and laugh out loud, and that will think of her laughing with us about it. Liesel's smile lit up every room. It was infectious. She always smiled. Even when she was completely down, she pulled herself together enough as to make others, but not make others feel bad. In fact, making people feel good was one of Liesel's greatest qualities. She was probably one of the most thoughtful people I've met in my life, and I'm sure we'll hear lots of stories about how she touched people's lives tonight. Liesel took a true interest in people. She truly listened, and she always managed to write little notes, cards, texts, or email to all the people she cared for. I have not yet cried properly, and I think one of the reasons is that I have no regrets. Liesel spent 2 months with us in New Zealand this year, and we literally did everything. We laughed, we cried, we hiked, shopped, danced, watched movies and cooked together. We had fish and chips at the beach, her favourite meal in New Zealand, 4 times I think. There is nothing I wish I should have said or done. It was a wonderful time. Liesel told me that for the first time in her life, she felt she was truly part of a family, truly loved, looked after, but also so integrated that we could tease each other and tell each other when we didn't like something. I felt so happy for her. I do find comfort in the fact that Liesel left us the way she did. It happened quickly and without pain or suffering, what she had always wanted. But it was far too soon. She would have had quite a few years left in her. Before I hand the microphone over to my daughter Alex, I would like to finish with my mother-in-law's words on the card she gave me when I left New Zealand. Her style and panache, her fount of stories, her infectious zest for life, and above all, our love for each of us. Fly with the angels, here's Liesel. We love you dearly.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex, Michaela's eldest daughter,
Auntie Liesel's great niece. I'm going to read a few words out from my Auntie Christiana, who, like we said, couldn't be here tonight. I am deeply saddened that I can't be here today and be a part of this memorial service and say goodbye to Liesel in the circle of those she loved and treasured. But I would like to say a few words nonetheless. Thank you, Tanti Liesel, that for so many years you have replaced my mother as best you could. My sons, Tobias and Hannes, have grown to love you through your sincere interest and interaction with them. I am very grateful for the last intense summers we have been able to have together here in Austria. We will miss you. Farewell. Love, Christiana. I also just wanted to say a few words of my own, as Auntie Liesel was, as you have heard, a very special member of our family and is also very special to me. Mum has already touched on all of his quirks and the beautiful person she was, so I just thought I would add with my own experience of her. Auntie Liesel always loved hearing about me and my siblings' lives and what we were all doing. It always felt like it was so genuine, it was genuinely in her, It always felt like she was so genuine with her interest and nothing she said or did was out of obligation. She was always filled with compliments as well. Not just throwaway compliments, but compliments that touch your soul and stay with you forever. This year I moved to Munich from New Zealand to learn German, which meant I unfortunately missed out on Liesel's last trip to New Zealand. However, Auntie Liesel and I kept in touch via WhatsApp, exchanging messages and photos. Whenever we would write to each other, she was always so full of so much enthusiasm for what I was doing, the places I was going, and the people I was meeting. It really felt like she was one of my biggest fans, and I always had the feeling I could do something crazy, and she would still find it fantastic. I missed it. Auntie Liesel's great love for our family and what we were all doing also meant that Mum would, as mentioned, send her photos constantly, and so would Auntie Christiane. The running joke in both our families became, "Stop! We have to take a photo for Auntie Liesel." Every time we did a hike, we went on a trip, or something significant happened in our lives. I know that for Mum and for Auntie Christiane, not being able to take photos for Auntie Liesel is one of the hardest adjustments and will remain so. Auntie Liesel was such a fun spirit, and she had such a zest for life, and loved us all so much. I will miss her positivity and ability to make everyone around her feel special. May she rest in peace. Thank you.
I would like to thank everybody that's here tonight, and we've already heard all of the good things that Liesel does and has done for everybody. But about 5 or 6 years ago, I took her to LAX. We got on an airplane, and 18 hours later, we were in Nepal. And we went up into the mountains to a village where we had no running water, indoor toilets, no electricity, no nothing. And Liesel fit in. Everybody in the village loved Liesel. And she would hold her hand, and they would laugh and smile, and neither one of them could understand the other one's language. Just having Liesel smile at them, they loved her to death. And yesterday, which in Nepal was December 11th, our Ganjaman Tamang family brought in a lama who did a ceremony to celebrate the life of Liesel and how the Buddhists do it. But they had the full ceremony, and he blessed everybody. And I assume that he also blessed everybody in this room. Thank you for coming tonight.
Okay, I've looked at Liesel, I've known Liesel for over 9 years, and she sort of had 2 lives out here. The first part, she was married to Jamie, and he was this wonderful doctor. She was the nurse that would assist him in house calls, and people would drive up to the guard gate, and the guard gate would send them up to their house, and they took care of everything. They were very dedicated to the patients in Borrego. And that was one life she had. Then after Jamie passed away, she became very involved in activities in the community and was more able to concentrate on her passions. She inherited Armand Valet's art collection and opened a gallery in the mall, selling her work as well as her own. Dee was her partner in the second half of her life here. We did the gallery together, as well as interesting travel they did together. They started making trips to Nepal, where they became very close to Gandhi and his family. Tonight we have young Chen, who was born in Nepal, but is now attending college in Texas, and is considered her adopted granddaughter, and her sister. Anyway, Liesel and Dee would talk to Ganji's family in Nepal a few times a week, and had a great love love for the people of Nepal. When they had a terrible earthquake there, Liesel raised $10,000 to help in rebuilding. As you can see from the pictures that Patrick was able to display for us here tonight, she didn't just observe what she wanted to learn. It was like to feel what it was like to carry a basket on your head and put the melon on her head the way the children were doing instead of just observing. And she was very curious and very interested in learning everything. They also helped start a school. So the pictures you see with the leis the children made for her, and you can see, so I couldn't even count how many she has on her, that the children made to show their appreciation for what they were doing for them. She meant a lot to the people there, as well as they meant a lot to her. And I did write, we wanted everyone to know yesterday, Nepal, it was 11, and they had a celebration of her life. Liesel was involved in so many different groups in Borrego, but the Art Guild, the BAI, the Naturals Club, and the Singing Bowls were what she had a particular passion for. So tonight, Mark Paradise brought the Singing Bowls, and we will end with him. I don't know where he is now, but to show us, this was a great passion of hers also for sort of meditation and healing. We have a representation here tonight of some of her artwork. People were kind enough to lend us for the night. So many people reached out to help in any way they could. So we have her reverse glass. Patrick was kind enough to do these pictures on the board. She loved her beading, and there's so many crafts she did. I didn't have a great representation of that, but her reverse glass is just spectacular, and people let us take her work from all over. They brought it to us. And there's so many people I know Liesel would want to thank. And Terry and Charlie, I don't know where you are, but they did the flowers for tonight. And Christina, I haven't seen her yet, but she did the invitation. And as you know, Liesel was very concerned about aging in this community. And didn't know what happened to her as she aged. But so many of us knew her wishes. She had an amazing team of people that she could trust and help keep her organized. I know she would want me to convey to them how much she appreciated all the love and confidence they gave her. And Crystal and Patrick, Crystal, you did her part and kept her very organized, and it was a very calming effect for Liesel. And Patrick, I don't know where Patrick is right now, but hi Patrick. And Patrick is videotaping this because so many people couldn't make it tonight. They had to go back home for the holidays, and so he's videotaping it so people will be able to see it after. Then Susan Leahy and Karen Shugart. And we'll get it to her. I haven't seen Karen, but you both gave her such comfort in knowing that you were going to manage her affairs, and that was a great feeling for her. And so, thank you for that. Rebecca, you had a heavy decision to make, and you were her person that she trusted the most to make the decision about her life. And you did an amazing job. We were all Christiani and Michaela and her husband Brendan were on the phone that night. It's something none of us will ever forget, but you were amazing. And so it's a memory we'll always have together. But
we have a memory together.
Yeah. And so then Dee and I were talking yesterday. and we said, who are the people that really kept Liesel going, being able to live out in Borrego? And we came up with Tina and Francis, her anchors of making everything happen for her, allowing her to live her life out here, which she probably wouldn't be able to do. And I don't know if he's here tonight, is Gil, another one that managed the house. And she was very grateful to them always. And she got a chance to say it the last night, so many of us saw her. But Tina, you were wrong, really. So, and then her friend Margie, her dear friend Margie, flew in from Florida. And I know Liesel's looking down and very appreciative of all the people that showed up. And I haven't seen him, but Manhat said he was coming. And tonight he was, maybe not because of the rain. And there are so many people here she loved and have helped her in so many ways. So please forgive me if I failed to mention your names. The last weekend of her life, we had a party that started at Leslie and Gary's house, Rose's house, and then went on to our house. And she was as happy as that night as any of us have ever seen her. She was the belle of the ball. She stayed up at Marlene Bruton House that weekend, and they were like two teenagers having a slumber party. And Liesel was absolutely filled with joy that whole weekend. And the lucky thing is, so many of us got to see her that weekend because of the party. The following Monday, she came into the shop and she was still floating on a high from her weekend. It is still unbelievable to me that that was the last time I saw her. But to see her that happy was a beautiful memory. Ed and I used to always joke that Liesel was the child we didn't have. Right? And we were both devastated by her loss. She would call every night, just as we sat down to dinner. I would ask, am I interrupting dinner? And I would say yes. And the next night, she'd call again at the same time. Time and numbers were not Liesel's thing, but none of us could paint like her. So we shared so many things, and nothing will ever be the same without her here. We love Liesel. We want tonight, we'll give the microphone, we want to share some funny stories. And I can tell thousands after so many years. But the one I'm going to start with is one day Liesel called me and said, I need to borrow your car. I have these boards that are 10 feet high. She needed them to display for an art show. I'm measuring, I'm looking up, 10 feet high. No one's going to be displaying art that high. And she said, oh, I said, you got to remeasure. She said, oh no, I got it right. I wear a size 7 shoe, and I went heel to toe, 10 times. So, that's Liesel's logic. We all know it, we all understand it. So, there we go. So, we have a couple of mics. Do you want to talk to them?
No, I just think I probably put this.
Okay, Michaela's going to put the slides on, and it's open to anyone that wants to give us a funny story or happy memory.
It's all about life. Some people make more of it than others. Some people do more with it than others. Some people
Higher.
But
There you go.
Ice cream cone.
we all know Liesel was one who grabbed it by the neck and shook it until everything was shaken out. She had a class and style that affected us all. There's something about her that is so special in that even if you met her for the first time, you felt a genuineness and a comfort in just being in her presence. And she made people not just feel comfortable, but It made her all the more memorable for what she gave to anyone who was in her presence, and then in addition to the community here as well. I've got these notes, but they don't seem to be right for this occasion, so let me just add.
Turn the mic on.
Is it still?
There we go.
There.
Tony.
Like an ice cream.
Ice cream cone.
Okay.
Just don't lick it. Don't lick it.
All right, so most of you have known Liesel longer than I have. I've only been a resident in Borrego for a few years, but she and I became very special friends. I know her love of champagne, for example, and chocolate. And she had a special white wine that was particularly her favorite. I don't know if that's here tonight or not. But in my own mind, the way I look at it is she's not gone. She's in the next room. This is the way I look at friends who are no longer with us, because their presence is still with us and the effect that they've had on our lives is still with us. So, good night, Liesel. You're in the next room.
Okay. Let's start again. No, so this was Liesel. She had a sparkle garter, and that sparkle took us to so many places, and met so many people, so many hikes, so many visits to various art groups. And one day she turned up at my house when I didn't really know her terribly well, with a bunch of blue cornflowers and pink carnations for my husband, who was just in his last few weeks. And just the kindness that just outpoured from these everywhere she went was just a beautiful presence of her. Anyway, just after she came to my place on the Monday night, and then the next morning she'd gone. And it was just such a blessing to have that moment with her as a goodbye. So every time I look up here at Liesel and think, well, there's no Liesel, but there is. And I had a very vivid dream the other night about some blue cornflowers and bright yellow arum lilies, which we just loved. And it was so overwhelming, the colour and the presence of this colour, that it stayed with me for a couple of days, and all of a sudden I realised that was Liesel. So she is here amongst us, and with a lot of love. Okay, now.
Liesel from Dr. Paris, and then she and I got to be friends, and so lovely, so incredible. And she showed up when people had surgery with a plate of food, and taking them to the doctor, and doing things around the house, and nobody ever knew about it. It was just very quiet, and it's a little Mother Teresa in her, for sure. And it's hard for me to talk about. I just loved her, and she had very specific wishes for very specific things, and I loved her enough to listen to her, and it's not easy, and it's such a loss for everybody. Thank you.
I am blessed to have two of her first class paintings that she gave me on either side of my bed. So I see both of these paintings last thing before I go to sleep and the first thing when I wake up. My two favorite stories about Liesel are, two I can say are, she wasn't just a stewardess, she was a Braniff girl. And not only that, she still fit into her peach mini dress uniform. That's a thing. The other thing is that when Mary and I were redoing her house, I mean, she had the most beautiful things. the most beautiful things. Spark, she was a magpie, a beautiful thing. And every time we would go over to do some more work at her house, I would have to call ahead. Mary doesn't know this, even still probably. I would have to call ahead and say, Liesel, put away the toothpaste, hide your brush, make sure that counter's clean, or Mary is going to be mad at you. I will miss Liesel, and I'm so happy to be here tonight. She loved your memory, and you were great for me.
In my life for many, many years. She was a dear friend. I used to go hiking together. She walked. She would say, look like a duck. And she says, see that point up there? That's where we're going today. Okay, Liesel. She was tough, but I could walk with her and she would inspire me. And so that was a lot of good times with her. And also I got to work at her gallery and it was so much fun. I learned a lot about art and became friends with Armand Vallée, which was a very, very beautiful thing to do. And we did a lot of things together. We went to Cancun for a yoga workshop together. And we did all this stuff, you know, and oh man, I miss her.
That's
But thank you for being here for me and celebrating a good friend, a meeting.
I did. I took a good picture of Liesel when Mary was talking at the last party we all saw her at. But my story goes, because I've heard your story about your pants. And this was pre-COVID, when I had my, less than 29 pounds and I gained during COVID. And we had the opening here at Rams Hill. And I had purchased these really cool white jeans with French writing and a rose down the side. And I walked in and had a blousey blouse on. And Liesel looks at me and goes, "What's that?" and I was like, "Oh my God, I thought this was so stylish." and then I turned sideways. She goes, "Now I can see it." So that's my Liesel story.
I met Liesel 27 years ago, and it was at the Borrego Days Festival 1995, the most successful Borrego Days Festival ever. Closer, okay. And through the years, I got to know her better and better, and in more recent years, we went hiking together, whether it was the big Borrego tours or just one-on-one, Liesel and me, out on the Bajada west of Yaqui Pass or just through Rams Hill. And sometimes I would drop in on her unannounced in a house on a Sunday afternoon and have a drink and a chat. Other times, she'd drop in on my house unannounced. And I had to remind myself, she's a celebrity, for goodness sake. Most people need an appointment just to see her. And I could just see her as my pal, you know. And I'll never forget that. And then for many, many years, I tried to put her with my brother and his extended family in New Zealand. Thank you, Michaela, whatever you are. And so we finally got it together back this last April. And we got the whole family together. Michaela, I don't think you were there, but my brother and his family, Liesel. Yeah. And so I'll never forget that. That was the culmination of, you know, like I said, the last 27 years. It was almost half of my entire lifespan that I've known her.
Nice try, Tim.
Yeah. And so that's all I can say.
Diana.
Hi there, my name is Diana Lindsay. I met Liesel when Armand died. She had called me and asked about distributing Armand's cards, and we helped to unload all of the cards at Armand's house. And I got to know her over the years. And I can say there's two things about Liesel. And I think those are the two things that have affected everybody here and myself. She had two gifts, and her gift was focus. That's number one. She focused on what she was looking at, her paintings, the people she worked with, whatever. She had 100% focus. The other thing she had was the ability to listen. She could listen to everything you said and make you feel that you were really being heard. Yep. Because a lot of people would talk to you, but you talk back, but they were so busy thinking what they were going to say that they really weren't listening to you. Liesel listened. She really did. She heard your joys. She heard your pain. She heard what you needed, and she was there for you. So she walked fast because she was focused on exercise. When she hiked fast. When she painted, she was totally in contact. So Liesel's gift to all of us is to think about being focused, think about listening to others, because that is what we can learn from Liesel. She was a very special person, and she was special because she had these abilities.
Here.
Hello.
And spot on.
Okay. And many of you probably don't know me because I've only been in the Borrego community for a little over 2 years. And I met Lisa on the bench looking over the first hole. And we had a little conversation. But what I wanted to impart to you is that I had a dinner party, and I invited her, and I invited me, and when I was over at her house, I peeked right out, I headed into the office where he was watching TV, and said, "Please come." And when I turned around, and Liesel said, "Oh, he doesn't go there with me." So, anyway, he showed up. And that was delightful, but being the artist she was, I have a lot of artwork on my walls. And we were going through the house, and I was just showing her different things that I admired. And when I bought the house, there was a lot of framed prints and other stuff that was already there. And but anyway, we came upon this one painting, a watercolor,
We both put our heads in like this, and at the same time, if I hadn't had someone observe it, I'd say that didn't happen. But at the same time, we saw her signage on this wall. I know. It was like, are you kidding me? So anyway, like I said, I haven't heard her for a long time, and I hear people talking about her, being their best friend, and their compadre or whatever. No, I was. I'm just teasing. But yeah, no, it's really tough. I mean, we talked and conversed weekly, and she is just such a lovely woman. I feel very honored that I was able to teach her yoga at a certain point, and I still don't understand how that amazing gazelle could, stand any balance on these tiny little feet that she had. So, yeah, that's all I have.
Just to echo what Diane was saying, her presence of being totally with you in that moment was a skill not many of us have. So I echo your invitation for all of us to practice that, because it's rare people have the ability to just be with each other without the whatever, the busyness of the Western world, whatever. But I've been echoing that same phrase since she left us. Well, before she left us. Anyway, she'll be very missed. I loved her very much.
It didn't even come up for me until we talked about how she did things and always did them in a big way. But that yoga class that we took, and I think there's other people that were in it. It did exist. I knew you were here. Anyway, it was 3 hours a day, 6 days a week for 6 weeks. So when we signed up with Liesel, we spent a lot of time.
The focus and the listening. She had a way, and it's evidence here tonight, of making everyone in her life feel like they were the most important person, and they were. And we all felt it. And I want to say thank you to everyone who planned this event. This is wonderful. So we all loved her dearly. So she loved well. And I think that's probably something that I would strive to do. So, thank you.
Okay.
I'm Carrie. Well, when she came into the store, and she had a butt hat on, and it was so much fun always. And I haven't known Liesel the longest time either, but everybody here in Borrego too, I'm just grateful that I got to know her. And last season, to be able to work in the store and have her come in and just educate, and the whole Armand thing and the legacy, that we all just keep going, her. And, so I'm very grateful for that. And one thing that's super funny about Liesel is that I'm getting an implant. And every time I'm trying to eat, you have to take the tooth out. And so Liesel, I told her at this party, and I said, God, I don't have my tooth in. And she just popped her tooth out. It just gave me the biggest smile. I should do it right now, but I'm delayed. So, that last time, the party, every time I
Liesel was, her heart was always open, I know you all know that. So, I'm grateful to be part of it. And it's crazy.
Yeah, and he gives you all the credit.
Well, you know what, I give him all the credit. He drives 5 hours, he takes care of his daughter, he does, all this stuff. But anyway, it's fun. But today, the rainstorm that tried to come, was coming and the wind came up. Like, Christina, we thought, this is Liesel, and a huge rainbow, over. And it got stronger and stronger, and so, we all know that.
About the implanting, like whatever you call it. So Liesel was obviously very embarrassed about her tooth for a very long time, and in the end, she got so comfortable with us that she would ring us, or I would ring her, and she wouldn't have it in, and she'd have the pirate smile, and and my husband said, I'm not sure I'm prepared for this, I'm not sure I can handle this. She's always so glamorous, I don't want to see this. But I know what you're saying.
Paradise. Many, many years ago, I met Liesel and Deep at a Tibetan singing bowl training class. And it was in Encinitas, California, of all places. And it was amazing to me that when I first heard about the singing bowls and how they react amongst the body, automatically I had to go to Encinitas and find out more. Well, as we were introducing ourselves at this class, they said, "Where are you from, Mark?" And I said, "Borrego Springs, California." And I mean, there are people from London and Spain and New York and all throughout the United States at this class. And all of a sudden I hear Liesel say, "I'm from Borrego Springs." So right there, Dee and Liesel became very dear friends of mine. And I finished this class, and this class, I had to have 300 hours of practical work on the body with the Tibetan singing bowls. And I can say tonight that Liesel was over 100 hours of that. And I was so grateful. And Betty Patterson was at my certifying class that day. And it was amazing to me to be able to tie it all together. So I just want to say that how grateful I am to have been a part of Liesel's spiritual journey. We had hours and hours of conversation of, "Mark, how do you do that?" And I say, "You just give up." And it was so wonderful for her to be able to just say, "Oh, I understand that there is power in surrender. Absolute power in surrender." Anyway, my beautiful wife Denise has joined us this evening, and this is a tribute to Liesel, a dearest person in my heart, and I know for you as well.
And I would just like to make a quick notation that I myself, an artist in training, I have been calling on Liesel of late, that when I am painting and stroking with my brush, whether it's watercolor or acrylic, I call in Liesel. I say, "Liesel, you are an amazing, beautiful artist, and I would love any input or assistance in my own works." So I invite her in my heart and in my works that I paint and that I create for my own healing. And I'm so grateful to have known Liesel. I have a beautiful picture of her on my computer at home, and I'm just now seeing the slideshow and saying to Mark, "Oh my gosh, we have that picture of Liesel laying on the healing table, the massage table, and singing bowls all around her, head to toe, every, I won't say orifice, but every part of her body was surrounded by singing bowls." And she let us work with her and enjoy just such a sentimental and intriguing, intimate moments together. And she is in my heart forever, and I call on her now, and I'm grateful for all the warm faces I've seen here that I haven't seen for a while, and I'm grateful to see again. And we are going to give you a treat right now, and I'm going to walk around the room as Mark's playing, so you can hear in the back what it sounds like to hear these bowls up close and personal, because it's like none other when you're in person, and hearing this resonance and these beautiful singing bowls that she was as well passionate about, and her love for these singing bowls. We're sharing that with you right now.
This was Liesel's favorite bowl that I had, that we have. It's a prayer bowl, 450 or more years old. This bowl was in Liesel's shop for many years. It disappeared and came back exactly at the right time. In honor of Liesel tonight, may you carry the energy of the open heart that Liesel carried daily to all that you come in contact with. And so it is.